Good evening, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the show. It's 6:58 p.m. on a Wednesday night, almost in the smack dab middle of August. It's the 14th, and we have a great show ahead of us tonight. I'm really excited to do it, and I'm really excited to welcome the guests we have on. Hopefully everybody arrives on time. I think we're all good. We're all good to go. We're going to be meeting a really interesting guest with an amazing story to tell, a story that's still unfolding. Sam Childers, the machine gun preacher. What is his story? Where did that name come from? We're going to get around to it all tonight. I'm going to try to leave no stone unturned, as I usually do, but I'm glad that you guys are here with me for another round, and tomorrow's going to be a good one too. We could talk a little bit about that toward the end of tonight, but in the meantime, I have a couple of minutes to go over some business with you, and I want to do that. So thank you everybody for being here. I want to just plug real quick, quitefrankly.gold tonight. Our good friends at Wise Wolf Gold and Silver, Tony Arterburn. Many of you know him from his own show, and he helps a lot of different people like Charlie Robinson, David Knight, and others. And he's a really great guy to talk to about anything economic, about trying to fortify yourself from all of the ebbs and flows of the financial world, the fiat financial world. And if you ever were interested in something a little bit more physical, even if it's just the first couple of ounces that you ever bought of silver, some junk silver, some dimes, some mercury head dimes, whatever the hell it is, get in touch with Tony at quitefrankly.gold. There is no order too small, which is why I wanted to work with him, because there's a lot of people out there just getting started. They just want to feel the weight of some metal in their hand for the first time, and he's the guy. He also has monthly options, gold-backed IRAs, all that stuff. So get in touch with him, quitefrankly.gold. All right, other than that, tomorrow we've got Cheryl Daly coming on to talk about homeschooling, back to school kind of stuff. I've got a lot of things to do there. On Tuesday, though, I just added this guy to the schedule for Tuesday the 20th, and that, of course, is Jim Lee. And why are we going to be talking to Jim Lee? Well, today alone, ladies and gents, it's pretty interesting. Here are just some of the headlines from today, the last 36 hours. The nation's best hackers found vulnerabilities in voting machines, but no time to fix them. Really? That's on Politico. Really? The unhackable machines? There's vulnerabilities and no time to fix. Oh. If only there was a way we used to do elections prior to hackable electronic machines. If only there was a way. Almost like if there was a way to get back to the moon. You know? Got back to the moon. How can we do that? Well, we threw out all the information. There's that. Then we have this, another one from Politico. Politico doing great work. They're doing great work. We received internal Trump documents from Robert. The campaign confirmed it was hacked. The Trump campaign was hacked. Not only that, but as Yahoo and other people were reporting last night into this morning, but hackers have stolen or may have stolen Social Security numbers of every American. Of course, the Los Angeles Times just wanted to tell you, here's how you can protect yourself. Is there any protection? So I want to talk to Jim about this, because aside from geoengineering and weather manipulation and all that, he is, of course, a very, very skilled and experienced hacker and understands all of that, the cyber world. And I want to talk to him about that, because, you have to imagine that once we got into the digital age, this stuff was going to become commonplace, because wherever there is civilization, there's going to be criminal elements of it. So why not in the computer world? But, there's something else there about this, is when things of this size are happening all at once, when you're talking about politicians' campaigns, individual politicians' campaigns, you're talking about the way that people vote, you're talking about Social Security databases, and more, kind of gets you into the thinking of the Hegelian dialectic once again. Is there a common thread? Is there a common orchestrator? Is there a conductor? And what is the solution? What's the prefabricated, predestined solution? So I don't know. Those are kind of like speculative questions that we can ask together when we analyze the news on Tuesday. So don't miss that on the 20th. All right, what else do we have here? The first, I have another, I have another funny girl cop video for you. This time, 2 girl cops are chasing a female suspect who I think is in flip-flops and still gets away just by doing nothing but having a light jog. Here, take a look at this. The cops, maybe another block and a half at most before they start having palpitations and possibly have a heart attack. So if you I'm not giving anybody the advice to evade the police or resist arrest or anything like that. But if you find yourself in a situation and you know you're right, and you're wondering, can I get away right now? If you're being held down or if you're being, confronted by 2 female police officers or one, light jog. All you have to do is a light jog. That's it. All right. Anyway, so there you have. Oh, and here's one last thing for you. One last thing that really got me. And that is this Tedros guy, Dr. Tedros. I'm sure some of you have heard all about this, that the WHO has now declared there's a global emergency over monkeypox. The one that we were getting massaged with last year or the year before. Well, it's not a joke. The timing is not comical. This is nothing but this is just the way it is. Listen to this guy talk.
Today, the emergency committee met and advised me that, in its view, the situation constitutes a public health emergency of international concern. I have accepted that advice. The detection and rapid spread of a new clade of Mpox in eastern DRC,
Mpox.
Its detection in neighboring countries that had not previously reported Mpox, and the potential for further spread within Africa and beyond is very worrying. In addition to other outbreaks of other clades of Mpox.
The people here that are talking about Mpox and everything else, this one, that one, they're also the ones that say that it's a human right for people to migrate wherever they want, when in actuality, they and their friends are the ones who are causing the migration patterns, especially over the last few years. Just the COVID lockdowns alone, what they did to squeeze people in Central and South America, that was enough to send people, rushing northward. So, I mean, this is just an incredible thing, because the people who are always so so concerned about contagious diseases, they're also the ones who have no interest in stopping people's mobility around the world. As far as migration goes, they don't want you traveling and enjoying your life either. But at the same time, while people aren't allowed to have Christmas parties or go on a summer vacation, there's no stemming the tide of the human tidal wave of third worlders that are coming into the first world. None whatsoever. Unwashed, unvetted, unvaccinated, all the things that supposedly we need to stay safe. There is no epidemiological sense to any of this. These people, I hate them. I hate them so much. I really do. Now, this Tedros guy, I can't tell you how much I hate them. And through him, I hate many more, because he is, of course, after all, just a strange little public relations space alien, this guy. This guy's nobody important. Just a strange little public relations space alien. That's it. But the fact that they're trying again isn't the worst part. It's the fact that they're using the term Mpox. It was ridiculous enough in its original form when they were trying this a couple of years ago, and they're finding children and dogs, who were living in same-sex households that were popping up with Mpox. Everybody's lining up for their Mpox, their monkeypox shot. It was ridiculous enough when they tried this in its original form. But the fact that these psychos can't even bring themselves to say the word monkey while they scam us to death is absolutely infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. I don't know how it is for you. Infuriating. You know, a scam's a scam, but the fact that they create rules inside of the scam that, it's horrible. I do have a comment here from Dave in the X22 report. I asked him, Dave, do my eyes deceive me? Is your channel back? So I asked him for a comment. He said, hi, Frank. I appealed my YouTube account for the 15th time, and this time they brought it up. Why, I cannot answer that. As soon as I uploaded my first video, though, I received a strike. So I already cannot upload for 7 days on the channel since it's been resurrected. Strange game that they are playing, Dave. So that's from Dave from the X22 report. I have not, a couple of people said, I said, hey, keep your eyes out. I don't know if anybody else have had their accounts restored. It's such a pivotal time of year, in a pivotal kind of year. Very strange right off the bat. But only one person got in touch with me, said that they think that In Pursuit of Truth had it. And I went and I checked and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I direct messaged iPod about it, but I haven't gotten any comment back. But if you guys see anything like that, any big account resurrections, I asked Zach at Red Pill. He said he tried to appeal again once he saw what happened with Dave. Why not? So that would be something else. Let me know what you know when you see it, okay? All right, with that being all taken care of, we are going to jump to the other side of the intro and get ourselves ready for tonight's guest. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a fun one.
Hey, just wanted to see how that pause music was coming along. Now keep in mind, this is a movie tie-in video game from the Nintendo 64. Not looking for anything too crazy. What do you think about this?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
All right. Yes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we've got a great night ahead of us. Tonight on the show, you know, we're in a time right now, we talk about every night, where very few stories that come to us are good ones. And we need stories. We need good stories. But there has to be a few stories about badasses and heroes. Those can do a lot of good if you just sprinkle them in every once in a while. And tonight, we just happen to have a grade A, quite frankly, approved badass on with us. So, Sam Childers is better known as the Machine Gun Preacher. Childers' life is the basis of a movie starring Gerard Butler. Many of you probably have seen it. It centers around his transition from a drug-dealing biker to a man who found God and turned his focus to rescuing kids in some of Africa's most dangerous areas. And tonight, we have him with us tonight. That's just what we're serving up. Sam Childers, welcome to Quite Frankly.
Hey, buddy. Good to be here. I hope you hear me well.
Oh, I hear you great. Now, you know what? I want to start off with a little bit of an anecdote for you because this is a very special evening for us. I don't know, maybe about 3 years ago, we started doing something where in the month of June, we would pick a badass, a nominee. We called June Badass Appreciation Month on, quite frankly. So in the month of June, for the last couple of years, we would nominate badasses, and we go all over the place: men, women, alive, dead, all eras, all over the world. People who did things above and beyond whatever, who knows? But you have to know that you were nominated in the first generation of badasses that first year. So it's a real thrill. It's a real thrill to actually have you on the show tonight. You're the first badass we've got to interview.
Well, that's awesome, man.
So that's just a little something for you. Okay. So there's a lot of people, Sam, who are hearing about you for the first time tonight. So I'd love to start from the beginning. I'm sure you don't mind.
No, go ahead, man.
Okay, so then let's just start with your early life, because this is the everything leading up to this transition, this transformation in your life, your conversion, all that. Talk a little bit about what early life was like for you and how it led to such a rough beginning.
Okay, I was born into a Christian family, but my dad was part Cherokee Indian, and he believed that unemployment was like welfare. So he was very tough on working. We traveled around the U.S. He built big high rises, and he was all about, working. He didn't believe in any assistant at all. I mean, my dad was a hardworking man. He brought up his three boys. I was one of three boys, the same way. And there was a few things that he taught us boys. And one of the main things was, if there was a bully in school, we was brought up to bully the bully. And he brought us up that if somebody was in need of help, that, we was not to walk away. We was to help them. So as I got older, I went on a trip into South Sudan on a mission trip, 5-week mission trip. Never suspected I would end up living there. And I went on this trip. I didn't realize that South Sudan at the time, and I'm talking 28 years ago, was the worst place in the world to visit, one of the most dangerous. Right now, South Sudan, as we speak, is the fourth most dangerous place to visit in the world. And I went on that mission trip and seen there was people that was dying by the hands of Joseph Kony. And ended up, I got in the middle of a civil war, and I'm still there. I'm still active in South Sudan. I'm active in Uganda. I work in Congo and Ethiopia as well.
So there's the big one that we have to concentrate on, and I think that the first hook in your story for me was how you went from a life of crime. It is always rough. I mean, there was always a toughness about everything that you were doing, but with the drugs and the crime, can you talk about that moment in your life? What was the catalyst for the conversion?
I'm still a 1% biker. So I don't care how bad you are. I don't care how mean you are. I don't care if you're one of the top 10 most dangerous motorcycle clubs in the world. Everybody wants to be known for doing something good, especially when it comes to rescuing children. Some of the meanest, baddest motorcycle clubs in the world, what are they all about? They're all about rescuing children, saving children. So I believe that once we get the opportunity, if you look at Toys for Tots, if you look at a lot of organizations out there, they were started by some of the meanest, baddest people in the world, So I believe no matter who you are, we all have a heart for children. So God just gave me a very big heart. Once I said, God, here I am, I believe God started to use me. But the biggest thing that he used me on was I have a heart for children. Children aren't able, to defend themselves. They're not able to stand up for themselves. And I just been doing it a long time now, way over way over 25 years now.
And talk about the first time that you set foot in Africa. I know it was on a mission trip. I know that this was
Right.
but what did you see there? What did you see there that really changed?
My very first trip, and you can read it in my first book, okay, Another Man's War. I went on a mission trip, and when I was there, I heard this village got attacked, got raided. So I said to some soldiers, I said, I got to go look at it. I'm a lot like, okay, like Thomas in the Bible. They said, hey, Jesus was rose from the dead and he's walking on the earth. And what did Thomas say? He says, I have to see him. But then he even went further. He said, I got to put my fingers in the holes in his hands. So I heard about this village that was attacked by Joseph Kony, and I told these soldiers, I got to go see it. I got to see it with my own eyes. So I went into this village, and when we got there, there was bodies everywhere laying dead. And one of the soldiers said, we got to do a recon around the village and look for children that are hiding, that are still alive. And as we were looking for these children, I come across a body of a small child that stepped on a landmine, probably 4 or 5 hours, okay, before I got there. But from the waist down was gone. I couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl. The kid may have been 9, 10 years old. But as I stood over that body, I said, God, I'll do whatever it takes to save and help these people. At that moment, I didn't realize what I was saying until about 10 years later. I was still in Africa. Now it's going on 28 years. I'm still in Africa, still there rescuing children. I'm one of the oldest men in America to still go into a active war zone and end up rescuing children.
There was one part, because I've watched a lot of your interviews and a lot of stuff that's there to support your work. And I've heard you tell the story about hearing the voice of God about the exact locality in the middle of a war zone, the exact locality of where either an orphanage or your current farm, something where you're going to set up shop. Can you describe that moment right there, especially how you describe the voice of God when you hear him? How does it feel?
I'm actually a preacher. I do preach a lot all over the world. You know, I've done 16 world tours preaching, and I preach a lot and speak a lot on hearing from God. I believe everyone can hear from God. And you have a lot of people, they say, I don't know about that. But like my mom said, God spoke to a donkey, so why wouldn't he speak to you? But how do you really know God is speaking to you? I believe you know it because you don't want to do it. So, I mean, there were so many things in my life that God have spoke to me and I don't want to do it. Then I know it's God. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I heard from God to do this. I'm not saying it's not from God, but if you're all happy about it, it's probably not from God. Now, what am I saying? I have a motorcycle shop in Central City, Pennsylvania. I mean, a beautiful motorcycle shop. There's always motorcycles in there. I mean, if you go to the shop, it has a biker and stuff museum. I mean, people come from all around the world to see the bike shop. And the first thing they say is, why does he live in Africa? So if you look at what I have here in America, it's everything you could dream you would want. But why am I in Africa? Because God has called me to be there. For the first 8 years, I didn't want to be there. But when we're obedient to the call, all of a sudden you will start to live your dream. Now, I'm living my dream. Now, one of the big things right now, I got 2 books out. I got a 3rd book that comes out in about a month. Okay, we got the Hollywood movie that's out. We have an old documentary that's out. We have a new documentary that I really want to push people to get. for the simple reason it shows all the disappointments in 28 years. It shows all the storms in 28 years. It shows all the failures in 28 years. It shows everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. But the biggest thing is I never stopped. And so many times we stop in life what God has us doing because we're disappointed, because we think we're a failure. And when we stop in life, when God has a purpose for us, then for the rest of our life, we think we have failed. All I want to tell people out there right now, no matter what you're going through, no matter the storm, no matter the trial, keep going, don't stop. And all of a sudden, you'll begin to live a life of living the dream. I feel right now at 62 years old, I'm not only the oldest man in the U.S. to still work in a war zone. I'm not only the oldest man in the U.S. to still have exciting things happening in my life. I'm telling you right now, I'm living the dream. My life is all about feeding the hungry. Right now, we're feeding over 10,000 meals a day. We've built 7 schools from the footer up. We're building number 8 school right now. We try to drill at least a well every month in areas where there's hundreds and thousands of people dying of bad water. But I'm telling you, if you don't give up, whatever your storm is, whatever your trial is in life, never stop. And when you get to that point, you'll find yourself living the dream.
Very, very strong advice there. And I'll tell you one thing. I do hope that somewhere along the way, I mean, there's plenty that I feel there's an internal kind of a barometer that says this is the right thing to do, and I don't want it to be the right thing to do, but I got to do it. On the other hand, there are times. I love the times when I know it's the right thing to do, and I'm excited to do it. That's always fun too. I mean, that does happen, does it not? Does it happen for you? Do you dismiss anything that feels good?
You know, I can tell you years ago, it was really tough. It was really tough. But the older that I get, I mean, I'm 62 now. The older that I get, I'm living a dream, man. I mean, I still go into battlefields, still do things that a lot of people would say, Sam, why do you keep risking your life? But it's almost now just like living the dream. Saving children is an unbelievable thing. Feeding the hungry. You know, in almost every state in the U.S., we can go into a soup kitchen. So anyone that's listening, I want to encourage you, go into a soup kitchen, and that person that might have a drug addiction, that person that might be hungry, just to dip them out some food. Maybe it's a bowl of soup, you know, and when you see them appreciate it, just notice how you feel inside. You just feel so good. Now, I want you to imagine this. Imagine a child that hasn't ate anything in 2 or 3 days or 4 days, and you dish them out some food, and you look into their eyes and you see a starving child, life coming into their eyes as soon as you give them that bowl of food. Now, you imagine feeding over 10,000 meals a day. I'm telling you, the filling and the rush that I get in today's life, I wouldn't exchange it for anything else. I feel God has me living the dream.
Now let's get into that is the reward. Now there's a lot of tolls that have to be paid along the way, and of course you said these new documentaries talk about those setbacks. Let's start with just your name. Machine Gun Preacher. I mean, given the nature of your work and your ministry combined, it's pretty self-evident where it all came from. But who gave it to you, and what made it stick?
This is kind of a thing that a lot of people, especially if you're a non-believer, when they hear me talk about the name, I feel that God gave me the name. Okay, Machine Gun Preacher. I believe that the name is a marketing tool. If a church or venue is having me come in to speak, if they would put on the sign Reverend Samuel Childers, People's going to drive by and not notice nothing, probably not even read the whole sign.
It's true.
But when they put on a sign, machine gun preacher speaking here Saturday night or Friday night or Sunday morning, it gets everyone's attention. So God gave me the name a number of years ago, and the name is a marketing tool. That's all it is a marketing tool. I am a preacher. I'm a preacher with a gun. I'm a preacher that believes in standing up for what's right. I can't tell you how many preachers, I'm talking about big, well-known names that I can't mention. They'll call me and they'll say, Sam, I wish I could be like you. To stand up for what's right, most people in America were afraid to do it. But when we get that attitude, I don't care what's going to happen. I'm going to stand up for what's right. When we get that attitude that I'm never going to stop, I'm going to keep going on. Things in life will change, but the biggest thing that will happen, you'll begin to save lives.
It may be marketing, but it's also an honest descriptor. And, I know that you had a hard life prior to your conversion and going out there to Africa and having all this mission get imparted onto you. But what prepared you physically for literally going to war with African warlords, with slavers in the middle of the Congo and Sudan? I mean, that is, we're talking about, the rough streets of the United States, but then now you're talking war in foreign land. What prepares you for that?
The first thing I want to say is to every man, every woman that has served in the armed forces here in America that fought for our freedom, I want to say thank you. My dad, was a Marine. I used to tell people my dad was an ex-Marine. Marines don't like to hear that. And I will say I'm sorry for ever saying that. My dad was a Marine, and my dad taught us never to give up. My dad taught us always to fight for what's right. And when the odds are against you, that's when God's power can truly move. So I will say that I got to hand it to my dad. My dad taught me and my two brothers, don't worry about the odds. Don't worry about the consequences. Stand up for what's right. I believe that there would have never been a machine gun preacher if my dad wouldn't have existed, and if he wouldn't have stood up and taught me and my brothers how to take a stand. But the biggest thing is, once you take that stand, so many people, we want to stop. In the world today, now listen, I don't want to offend anyone out there listening, but a lot of old people, as soon as we get 60 or in our late 50s, we start thinking about retiring. We start thinking about quitting. And I hear so many old people, they'll say, well, it's up to the young people. Listen, the young people in America, they're all messed up. They're having a hard time deciding if they're a boy or a girl or what they are or who they are. All I want to tell you today, listen, don't give up till you take that last breath. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're in a wheelchair. I don't care if you're walking with a walker. I don't care if you're walking with a cane. God is not done with you till you take that last breath. So I'm telling you, even in the Bible, it says, where do we get our wisdom from? Where do we get our strength from? The gray hairs of the church. So all I can tell you people out there, don't stop. Don't even think of quitting. Keep going till you take that last breath.
Yeah. Well, so then we know where you get your resolve. But when you're actually in war, if you do you have special operators, volunteers that are out with you? Like, how do you actually go? Because I know
things have really changed over the years. I've been in Africa for 28 years. The past 16 years, I have owned and operated an armed security company in East Africa. So now I'm not just some crazy guy out there rescuing children. I own a armed security company. So everything we do is legal. I mean, if you just go into a third world country, you go into another country anywhere in the world and you start walking around toting a gun, you're going to jail. Everything we do is legal. We work with police. We work with military. I mean, if you really want to see the whole story, you got to get the new documentary. The new documentary, there's pictures of over 28 years in this documentary, of a movie film of over 28 years. There's pieces of the movie Machine Gun Preacher in it. But the biggest thing is, there's footage in there that no one has ever seen. You know, if you really Google Machine Gun Preacher, you'll see where the FBI raided my motorcycle shop, raided my home. You're going to see film that no one has ever seen. You're going to see the true story where even the government tried to stop me, but I never stopped. You know, and I know right now as we're speaking, there's so many good people out there. You're doing something good, but people are trying to stop you. Things are coming against you. You're ready to quit. And all I can tell you is don't stop. Keep going forward. When you're doing something good, the world will always come against you. And I just ask people today, how many of you have heard of a man that started something and stuck to it for 28 years? And see, I'm not here to say, look at me, look at what I have done. I'm here to say, look at what you can do. You have to believe in yourself and trust in God, and big things can happen.
Over those 28 years, you know, all the children that you've fed, all the children that you've rescued from the brink of starvation and danger from violence and all that with the orphanages and the farms, can you give us one or two stories that really stick with you, success stories of children that grow up to do great things, and great things being could just have been a wonderful family man out there in Sudan or Uganda?
We have children now that are working in customs. We have children that are police officers. We have children that has joined the military. We have children that are working in 3-star, 4-star hotels in the city. We have children that have started restaurants. We have children that went back to farming and now they have successful farms. Every story you can imagine, we have it. And it's all because we've never stopped. On Father's Day every year, sometimes, you know, when you take your life and you use it to save other people's lives, sometimes you're not the father you should be to your own children because you're too busy trying to save the world. But on Father's Day, it's amazing. I'll get text messages, I'll get emails, I'll get phone calls, not from one or two, not from 100, but from hundreds of children that went through our ministry, hundreds of children saying, Happy Father's Day. Thank you for saving my life. You know, that's the only reward that I'm really after. It's good to hear from these children when they have become young adults and they still say thank you.
That is wonderful, especially when you have so many years of extended family that continue to branch off on each other. What about your family from back in the States? How many of them are living with you in Africa? How does your work affect them with you being out of the country so much over the years?
When you give your life up for something, sometimes your family will have problems with that. Now, me and my daughter, we have got a relationship back. I have a relationship with my 3 granddaughters. I was divorced a number of years ago. I have remarried. I married a young girl from Africa. And what's so awesome now is me and my wife, Justine, and you'll see her in the documentary, we work side by side almost every day. She's with me right now on tour. I'm in the U.S. I'm promoting the documentary. My wife is right with me side by side, you know. So we work together in Africa, whether it's at the orphanage, whether it's at the farm, whether it's at the security company. We work together side by side. So you got to remember, when you give your life up for something, you will have loved ones that don't believe in what you're doing. If I would have quit more than 14 years ago, in the past 14 years, there was thousands of people saved. We have a commercial farm in northern Uganda. The past 6 years, we give away the entire crop, the main crop, every year in December. Last year alone, we gave away over 65 ton of rice. We gave away over 25 ton of maize flour. We butchered over 20 cows from the farm and gave the meat away. We're talking about feeding thousands of people, thousands of starving people for 3 to 4 months ration of food. So if I would have said years ago, okay, you know what? I'm done. I've done this for a while. It's over. There's thousands upon thousands of people that would have died. You know, I challenge people, don't look at what I have done. I challenge you to look into my life at what you could be doing. And all it takes is don't stop. No matter the difficulties, no matter the storm, keep going on. Don't stop. I'm telling you, you can do big things in your life.
Colossal things right there. And you're talking right there. You've been able to kind of sketch out just how big the impacts are from your efforts, not only just from the rescuing of people from dangerous situations, but feeding thousands with your farms and things that have really built up over the course of 3 decades. But let me ask you about reception back at home, because it's a completely different thing over here back in the States. How has the reception been back home? Because you have the first movie with Gerard Butler. I know the second movie is coming out, and you've been featured on national news. Talk about your brand, how it's really received here in the United States versus where your real bread and butter is out there in Africa doing the actual physical work.
We just done our 16th annual motorcycle event in Central City, Pennsylvania. It's a 3-day motorcycle event. And this year, again, there was hundreds and thousands of people that showed up for that event. And I mean, people will get pictures with me all day long, and they come up and they say, man, I'd love to do what you're doing. And people are so excited about what I have done. But see, what I tell everyone, you can do it. I love to you to look at my life as an example. But I don't want you to look at me at being something great and being something bigger than you can do. I just want you to look at my life of what I've done and just imagine what you can do. You know, I was an ex-heroin addict, a criminal, a bad guy, a drug dealer, a mean guy. If God can change me and use me, just imagine what he can do in your life. But see, it would have never happened. The first 8 years of my life, there were so many storms, so many trials. Even up till now, you know, people might look at me now and say, well, Sam, you're living the dream. You're so successful. But I still go through storms. I still go through trials. The whole success to life, now I want you to hear this, the whole success to life is never stop. Never stop. When you fall on your face, when you think you're a nobody, when you think no one loves you no more, no one cares about you, when you think you're a failure, get up, keep going on, never stop. Go after the purpose you have in life.
I've watched a few of your interviews where you've made pretty clear in them that the work that you do is still no less dangerous today than it was when you started. My question next is, what's the over 28 years? What's the human toll been like? Like, have you lost friends doing this work? What's the closest you've come to death? Because you do stress the danger in what you do, even though, like you said, it's all legal. But it's these are dangerous parts of the world. What's the closest you've come to death over the last 28 years? Because, like you said, it's all happening inside of a war zone.
Well, I always always tell a little bit of a joke. You know, people say, "What was the most dangerous thing you have ever done?" And I think it was eating my first wife's meatloaf. But I've been in some pretty dangerous things, you know. I've been in over 10 major battles. They have tried to assassinate me over 10 years. I've been ambushed over 10 times. But it goes to show you, when you really look into my life, it goes to show you that God is real. I'm not a Rambo. I'm 62 years old. I still will suit up, put my guns on, go out to rescue children. But you got to remember, I'm not a Rambo, but God is. So the only tough guy, the only Rambo in my life, I'm still a 1%er. I ride with a motorcycle club, but I'm not the tough guy people think I am. But the God that I serve, he is. I've been shot once, stabbed 3 times, all in the U.S. You know, people kind of like, what? You know, I've been in Africa in wars for over 28 years. Never got shot, never got stabbed. This is what's so amazing. I have never had one of the people that work for us, one of the soldiers, one of the security company people, no one has ever got killed ever.
Wow.
Now, I've had people blowing up, I've had people shot, stabbed, but no one has ever lost their life working for our ministry.
And do you work with law enforcement as far as like picking up tips? You're talking about when I still suit up to go save children. How do you know where the mission is, and who's being held, and who you're liberating?
We work directly the MGP Security. You can Google MGP Security Company in East Africa. We work with the police. When you're a security company, you work with police. When you go into any conflict area in a third world country, you must work with, the military. The military in Uganda does an excellent job. Excellent job. They are. I call Uganda the land of milk and honey. There's a lot of opportunities in business and whatnot there. But if you're going to work to rescue children, you can only do it with government people. But the thing is, they don't have the facilities. They don't have the homes and the places to take these children to. You got to realize, like right now, if you Google Congo, ADF, you Google Congo, ISIS, you Google Congo, Islamic State. Those are the 3 groups that have come together that's causing terror in that region. So those 3 groups are the ones that's stealing children, turning them into child soldiers. You'll see things I can't even talk about on this podcast. I got pictures in my phone I couldn't even show you of what these 3 rebel groups are doing. But see, when you rescue these children, it's not like it was 20, 25 years ago. You can't just put these children in an orphanage. You have to put them in a secure home where no one knows where they're at. You got to give them a mental evaluation. Every few months, a mental evaluation. You have to love them. You can't put them around other children. There's a lot of work to rehabilitate the children of today's war in East Africa. And it's not just a lot of work, it's a lot of money. Like I said, for the people out there that's listening, you can go to MGP, go to MGP Never Stop. That's a website where you can get the documentary. You can see how difficult things have got over the years. Laws have changed, times have changed, and things aren't like it was 25 years ago.
And I'll tell you, it just out of my own ignorance, I'm surprised to hear how really sophisticated and well thought out everything. When we over here, it's very easy for us to hear about something, a program that's being run in Africa, and we think it, it's not very complex. It's rinky dink. There's loopholes all over the place. But what you're describing right there is actually pretty intense and beneficial for the child that's being rescued.
Yeah.
Is Joseph Kony? I remember this guy from a long time ago in high school. We were talking about him. Is he still alive and active?
Joseph Kony is in Darfur region. He's in South Darfur region. He's still alive. There's a bounty on his head. He's around my age. And, he knows it. I'll say it now. I'm still looking for him. One day we'll meet and he'll have a problem. Do I hold a grudge? No. But I do believe that every man, every woman in the world, we have to face the consequences of the sins and the bad decisions that we have made. I have faced consequences in my own life. I'm sure you have. This man is a murderer. He's a coward. He needs to face the consequences of the lives that he has taken over the years.
I mean, infamous. Very. We knew all about him, and I was surprised to see how he pops up in your story, and then it just made me to go check it out for him. I said, "Oh, he's still alive." I wonder if he's in prison.
Tell you what's really awesome, and if you get the documentary, and there again, I'm going to keep promoting the documentary. I have a lot of money tied up in this documentary because it's showing the real life of what's going on. But we have women that he cut the ears off of, that he cut the lips off of. We interviewed him in the documentary, and even some of his colonels, some of the leaders, some of the officers of the LRA will tell stories about me. And these women that's interviewed will tell stories about the man called Machine Gun Preacher. So I got to tell you right now, you got to get it. You got to check it out.
Is that there right there? Is it Never Stop? That right there?
Never Stop. That's it. Never Stop documentary. You can call our office. You can Google Machine Gun Preacher. You can call the office. We have it on DVD. We have it on flash drive. But you can go right to MGP Never Stop and download it. But this documentary, now keep in mind, I want to really encourage people. It's not really about me. When you're done watching this documentary, what it's all about is you. It's all about what you can do in your life if you don't give up. Look, even you right now, I can tell you're a successful man. But look at all the times that you may have gave up in your life. Look at where you would be if you have never gave up. And what I want people to do is watch this documentary and just see where you could be, what you could be doing if you just stay strong, stay tough, and don't give up.
Well, I had machinegunpreacher.org in the description of the episode. I replaced it with mgpneverstop.com just so that people can find the documentary a little bit quicker. And I definitely have to watch it. I really am. I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. But now that leads me to a couple of questions that actually have to do about movie making. The first one, of course, is about Machine Gun Preacher with Gerard Butler, because you have that first movie with Butler, and it's everything that you would expect out of an action film. But as far as the second one coming out, what do you think is going to be different about this one? Is it,
I'm dealing with a second movie right now. You know, most people that follow me knows I haven't been paid all my money from the first movie.
Oh,
The second, yeah, this Welcome to Hollywood. The second movie would have already been out if I would have done it the same way I did the first movie. I'm a businessman, and my business is saving children. So when you hear the second movie is getting ready to come out, you will know there's 1.5 million in my bank account for the children. So the second movie, I am dealing with a company right now in Hollywood. And what's it all about? It's all about I never stopped. You don't find too many people over the years. In the past 10, 11 years, I've had over $30 million go through my hands. Most people would have quit. Most people would have stopped. What did I do? I feed thousands of people every day. I feed over 10,000 meals a day. I built 7 schools from the footer up. We averaged over 60, more than 60 wells over the years that run about 10,000 a piece to drill. We have a project called the Bush Kids Project, runs me over $300,000 a year. So I had over $30 million go through my hands, but I used it to keep saving people. And if you look, that's what the second movie is about. A lot of people in Hollywood is saying, "You mean this guy is still out there? You mean this guy is still rescuing children? You mean he's 62 years old and never quit?" So the second movie is about a man that never stopped, and about a man that's still in the middle of a war. I can't say I'm not afraid, because I get afraid. I got a beautiful young wife. I got a new home in Africa. I got a motorcycle shop in America. I would love to live 8 more years. But there's a lot of children still dying. If you Google South Sudan right now, it's the number 4th most dangerous place to live in the world. Now imagine if you're 3 years old. Imagine if you're 4 or 5 and your parents are already dead and you're eating crumbs off the market floor. Who's going to help them? Yeah, who's going to help them?
It's very tough.
You got to remember, our mission is children. I'm not saying everything I've done is right, but I can tell you this much. There ain't a child alive right now would say I've ever done anything wrong.
You know, I would love to ask you this, and this is a little bit about your work, about the state of the world, and also of Hollywood. And it's one of the last big questions I have for you. Last year, Angel Studios released Sound of Silence with Jim Caviezel. And it was an incredible success despite limited release and all the traditional...
Millions of dollars come in, but you got to remember, and listen, I don't want to take nothing from the movie. The movie, movie was very, very good.
Well, if you hold on, let me get it, because it's part of a very specific question. The media, of course, there was an element to that I think is really interesting. They came out against it big time. They said the media around the world seemed pretty allergic to any film that not only deals with virtuous Christian main characters, but the media also tries to say that Sound of Silence was exaggerating just how bad child trafficking, child slavery actually is, that it was actually a bunch of conspiracy nonsense. And as someone who does this kind of work every day, just in a different part of the world as where the setting of that movie was, what do you see as the truth of the matter? Are things getting...
Let me ask you: was it Sound of Freedom or
Sound of Freedom? Sorry, Sound of Freedom.
Yeah. Okay, you got to remember. Listen, that movie was awesome, but that movie was really only about saving 2 children.
Right, but it's. Okay. I'm just talking about this, but and of course, just with 2 children, and
the only thing that I got to say That movie made millions upon millions of dollars. I forget the amount. I mean, we're talking millions in the U.S. What I got to say to any of them, what are you doing with the money now? You know, I get audited every year. I mean, we do a few $1,000,000 a year. I challenge people, look into what we're doing, follow what we're doing, come to Africa, walk with me, put your boots on the ground, look at the work that we're doing. The only thing that I'm trying to do is save more children. I didn't save 2. I didn't save 10. I didn't save 100. Our ministry has saved thousands of children over the years. I just hope the people would look at this documentary, get excited about it like they did The Sound of Freedom. And I just hope and pray that we could bring in a fraction of what that movie did. And I challenge you, watch what I do with that money. And it's going to be save a lot of children.
Well, I'm sure. But you know, box office aside, I want to come back around to this question. It's a bigger question about the state of the world and the way that children have become criminal commodities. Box office earnings aside, a lot of people in the press over here who were trying to cut Sound of Freedom down at the knees called it conspiracy nonsense, that this was really a very, very serious situation that's only getting worse and worse. The sex slavery, trafficking around the world, things like that. Yeah. As someone who does what you do, just in a different part of the world, because that took place in Central and South America, what do you see as the truth of the matter? Is this a humanitarian crisis that is getting worse? Has it already been the same? Has it always been this way?
Well, what I know and what I hear, that sex trafficking is at its peak in the United States. So the only thing that I can say to anyone out there that is saving children, whether it be in the United States, whether it be in Europe, whether it be in a third world country, don't stop. Children are waiting. I done a rescue. The last big rescue I done in a war zone, and I'm talking saving a lot of kids, was in I think it was 2018. And when we come into a village that was bombed and the almost every building flattened, some children come running out of an old church that was bombed. And one little boy said to me, he says, "I knew you were coming." And he said, the other children said, "No, you're not even real. You're not coming." But he looked at me and he pointed his finger and he says, "I knew you were coming." So anyone out there saving children, I don't care where you are around the world, don't stop, because there's a child waiting and looking and expecting you to come. That's what keeps me going. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going.
Well, Sam Childers, this was wonderful to speak with you. I hope we get another opportunity to spend some time together in the future, especially if you ever move through New York. I'd love to have you in studio sometime. So let your people know that you have a friendly studio to hang your hat at some point in your tours. I have the website that it links directly to the documentary in the description of this episode. People are going to be served that up first. But how else can people keep up with all of the moving and shaking of the machine gun preacher coming forward?
You can follow me on Facebook. Keep in mind, we will never ask you for money on Facebook. So if somebody's asking you for money on Facebook, it's not us. But you can follow me on Samuel Childers, Sam Childers, the Real Machine Gun Preacher, Sam Childers, or Machine Gun Preacher. So you can follow us on those 4 sites. You'll see weekly updates. And for you, I love your show. I love what you're doing. I think it's awesome. If you want to do a Zoom sometime right from the bush of Africa, machine gun next to me, you just let me know. We'll work it out. or we'll do a video or do a Zoom with children all around me right from the bush. And I mean, when I'm in Africa, I'm not some guy living in the city. You'll always find me in the bush.
That would be quite a background. I've never had somebody call in from Africa before, and even have those visuals just from that continent alone would be amazing. But to see you in your element in any way, shape, or form, whenever you're ready for that, you just have your people reach out to me, and I would love to make that happen. And thanks for everything, Sam. It's been wonderful to hear your story told here, and I wish you nothing but the best. And please let us know how we can help.
All right. One last word to everybody out there: never stop.
There you go. Sam Childers, everybody, the Machine Gun Preacher. Thank you, Sam.
God bless you.
God bless. All right, ladies and gents, there you have a great first half guest. It's history tonight because we had a first generation June badass on the show for an interview. Most of the badasses we talk about are dead. And this was great. That was really fun. Now, I have some questions for you guys. Other than just for you to call in, I'd love to know what your most dangerous personal mission in your life was. I'd like to know, do you have any stories like this? Your most dangerous personal mission, a mission that left a big impression upon you, that wasn't really there. You didn't get much out of it other than the good feeling of you did something well, you heard God's voice. I'd like to hear that. And then I also would like to do this when I get back. I'd like to throw out the whole idea of the Bonhoeffer dilemma. Okay? The Bonhoeffer dilemma, which is actually pretty well related to what we just talked about here. Going out and doing potentially violent, rough work for a good cause. Violence for the sake of good. Okay, it's a small sliver of the story, but a sliver nonetheless, and I want to talk about that in the second half. The lines will be on, and I hope that you are there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out to press the like button. Thank you.
Welcome to Intermission.
Yeah, intermission.
You are now entering, quite frankly.
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 Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly, guys.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
So everybody watch, quite frankly, with Frank.
Okay. Man. I like it. Okay. Let's see. What do you think? I hope we got some reviews in the comments. Let's see here. Just got that message. Hold on. Let me get into the Rumble rants, and then we'll get into our gold pills and everywhere else. We got one on Rumble. That is Spud Hill says, I got that message. Don't stop. We need more like him. Frank, thanks for this. I'm happy we did it. I mean, there's a guy that's out there doing some rough stuff, good stuff, very, very beneficial stuff for the world. Very beneficial. Big Tane says, hey, Frank, just giving a shout out from all of us truckers listening later on in podcast land. All voice, no visual, an amazing experience every night. Thank you for all that you do. That is from, quite frankly, superchat.com. Thank you. That's fantastic. All right, over on quitefrankly.tv, by way of pilled.net, the gold pills. Let's see. No Stud All Muffin says, Frank, thank you for hosting one of the greatest nightly shows out there. Keep up the great work. Well, that's very, very nice of you to say. Thank you, Stud. Boys Blanc, thank you. John Otter says, this cookie is made of scratchings from last night's EMPs. Those were incredible. I reached out to Stowstube and Witchy Poo. I don't have Delona's contact, but I would wish Delona would contact me so I can thank them. Let's see here. Ohio Kimmy, thank you. Empress Bitch, to you, thank you. Deplorable Farmer. Izzy Q says, Woke Society sent us. Oh, thank you, Scott. Thanks, man. Stephen and Lori, awesome raid from Woke Societies. That's very nice. I don't recall 22 sent a cookie. And Boys Blanc says, a great night. Well, I hope so. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Jay Britz just sent a super chat too. The number is 914-200-0269. I don't know why this audience wouldn't love that. I mean, I brought on a strong main character, a Christian man, turned his life around, went to an impoverished part of the world, and for 28 years has been building farms and orphanages and wells. I mean, who could hate that? I don't know. So call in, let me know what you think. Now here is the deal. Like I said, just something for you guys to chew on. The lines are open. You get extra credit if you call in to talk about the most dangerous personal missions you've ever been on. That would be great. You'll also get extra credit for random white pill thoughts. Okay? White pill thoughts. Just call in and give everybody a white pill thought, because this is all obviously the theme of the night is inspiration and getting ourselves out of the bog a little bit and thinking about proactive motion, which is very much so the nutshelled story of Sam Childers. Esther says, off topic, did you ever find out if Rumble's keeping half of your Rumble rants? I appreciate you. No, I did not find out anything. I should look into that. I don't know. I can ask somebody, but I haven't looked into it. You know, it's Google was worse. That was like 40% that they took, and then of course whatever the hell the taxes in your state are or whatever. So it's on top of that, but it's 50%. I don't know. I have not heard. Quite frankly, superchat.com, that is always good, and of course the gold pills on quitefrankly.tv. Those are pretty solid too. But still, it doesn't matter as long as I get some messages, because it's great to get the support. It helps keep the lights on over here to save a little. We have a rainy day fund if a computer blows up on us, you know? That's why when we have a catastrophe over here like we did in January, where I had to effectively replace my entire broadcast system, I didn't have to do a fundraising money bomb. You're sponsoring the show, and things like this really help out a lot. So aside from the support, it's great to just hear your thoughts, because then we get to improv a little bit. Ladybug 197619, is that a phone number? You've got to watch out for that. I knew you'd come. That hit hard. Being adopted from a third world country. Thank God for him, and prayers for his protection. In Jesus' name. That's Ladybug in the Rumble rants. There you have it. Jay Semo says, another home run, Frank. Thank you. Awesome show. We don't appreciate what we have while children and adults suffer at the hands of evil. Oh yeah. As tumultuous and as, you know, it's a precarious position that we are in. But even as precarious as things are right now, there's always something to remind you of how much we actually still have. So that's one thing can't ignore. All right, let's take a call. You're on the air. Who's this? Hello?
My man, this is Connor.
Connor, how are you?
Outstanding. That was a great show. Phenomenal gift. I mean, it's hard to top that. You wanted to call in with dangerous missions and stuff like that,
Well, that's just extra credit. You can call in with whatever you want. Random white pill thoughts or just a review of the show tonight. That's all.
Fantastic show. I do have a quick story. My first deployment back in 2012, we were flying out of the Arabian Gulf and woken up in the middle of the night, pounding on my door as I was on the ready, and they said, "Get your shit, get your stuff on, we got to go." So I was like, "Oh, what the hell?" And so we get into the MTOC there, and they said, we're looking for this boat, and it's filled with chemical weapons and all kinds of stuff. And we're like, dang, huge priority target. What had happened was apparently a SEAL team had tagged it with the geolocator out of Iran, and then there was a storm. It was in the wintertime, so there's a big storm that came through, washed off the geolocator, so we had to go out and find it. Well, turns out we took off at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and then we get out there over the Arabian Gulf, and we can't find this thing anywhere. The sea state sucks. The weather's terrible. And so we're about 10 hours on this mission looking for this piece of shit. And then all of a sudden, flight says, "Hey, it's time to go. It's time to RTB. We're bingo fuel." I said, "Just one more second." I just had this weird feeling. I was like, he's got to be here, And out of the corner of my tiny radar contact, and so I swing my camera over, and I zoom in as far as I can. I can barely make out this little boat, and it's super low in the water, so I know it's heavy, and it's the only one out there because the weather sucks. And so I'm like, "Dude, you guys, I think this is it." And they're like, No, we gotta go. We're tired. All this shit.
Okay.
The entire crew, I was fighting with them. I was like, "This is the fucking guy, I'm telling you." They're like, No, we gotta go. So, sorry, I'll try to wrap this up.
Yes.
But we go down there. Said, "Okay, to hell with it. We'll go down," and we do what's called a rigging pass, and we'll go down at about 200 to 100 feet over the water and check it out, take pictures and stuff like that. Well, as we did, it was like we flew over a kicked anthill. I mean, these fuckers started pouring out of the deck. We're like, "Oh boy," and they're pointing rocket launchers and shit at us, and we're like, "Oh, let's get out of here." So we pull up, and then next thing you know, we get back, we land. Intel's there, just screaming.
So wait. So were the chemical weapons there or not?
Well, they dispatched an LHD carrier and 2 destroyers and a frigate to go intercept them. And turns out, sure as shit, it was the guys. And they had chemical weapons. They had all kinds of nasty shit.
In a little tiny rowboat?
It's called a dhow. So it's like
okay.
I don't know, just like like the size of a Chinese junk. That's like what they use over there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's crazy. Yeah, it's one thing to wake up in the middle of the night to go on any kind of wild goose chase but to be on one that has a chemical weapon at the other side of it, a heavily guarded chemical weapon. Jeez Louise. Thank you so much, Connor. That's a good one right there. Let's see, 914-200-0269. Here's a question for you. Now, this is I want to get things rolling. I want to get a big topic brought up here. So I'm throwing you a little bit more fuel for the fire. The Bonhoeffer dilemma. Here is a Cambridge theology abstract about the Bonhoeffer dilemma, for those of you who don't know. Dietrich Bonhoeffer's pursuit of a sanctified life took a significant detour away from in the way that he thought that it would proceed. In seeking good moral choices in the crucible of Nazi Germany, Bonhoeffer experienced a profound sense of what we would now recognize as moral injury, which proves to be a powerful and reflexive lens with which to examine his understanding of sanctification. Initially embracing pacifism as a fundamental pillar of Christian life, Bonhoeffer eventually became convinced that there are no pure or right moral choices, only competing wrong ones. He later wrote from prison that to be like Christ and to come closer to holiness was not to seek to avoid guilt, but to take on guilt for the sake of others. This recontextualization of the idea of sanctification through the lens of Christ's substitutionary guilt suggests that for the responsible actor, moral injury may be inevitable. Now, we didn't get into too much about the kind of force that Sam had to use over the years out there in Africa, but there are plenty of stories from history that speak to it. We start talking about just war theory and everything else. What do you think about this from the stand? Because it's one of the things that came up for me. It came up for a couple of friends of mine when I threw it their way. I said when I told them who we had coming on tonight. Here's another one from crossthecrown.org. I will look for more on this. It is Dietrich Bonhoeffer and the Christian use of force, the problem of Christian violence. Here you go. The main question here is, well, I guess I'll just throw this out there. This is from 2021. A recent meme posted by a child advocate against sex trafficking said this: "We are stepping into a world when good men will be forced to do bad things in the name of freedom." That's Dempsey 2020. Depending on the definitions of the terms used in that statement, it can be argued that this is not an ethical dilemma unique to our current situation, but has been faced by all generations throughout history. From the act of punching bullies during childhood to stopping them from terrorizing the playground, to the American hero Alvin York killing Germans in World War I to save lives. The use of force can be equally complex and disconcerting, especially for Christians. The story of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a Christian martyr during World War II, exemplifies this moral dilemma as he considered whether or not to participate in a plot to kill Adolf Hitler. How does one justify murdering another human being, even Hitler, while being an evangelical, deeply thoughtful, dedicated Christian, a pacifist to boot? How does one go from turning the other cheek, blessed are the peacemakers, and do not resist evil, but overcome it with the good, to blowing up a building to eliminate Nazism or any other kind of perceived threat? In a perceived obedience to God, would killing Hitler in his prime to avoid the murder of mass millions be a moral good? Is this an example of good men being forced to do bad things to defeat evil? So are there occasions where the end does in fact justify the means? Are there times where two wrongs do in fact make a right? This is a branch off of the story tonight, because this is not really truly represented in Sam Childers' story, but I wanted something to talk about in the second half. And it goes hand in hand with a lot of the questions we've had recently about so-called right-wing cancel culture. Whenever, little old ladies express public opinion about how they want everybody around them murdered, and someone gets them to lose their job at Home Depot. If that's something that we can't handle, then what about the bigger wars that lay ahead of us? So what do you think about the Bonhoeffer dilemma? I'm just offering that up as another little conversation piece, and I think it's pretty rich. So I hope you call in on it. 914-200-0269. Let's take a call over here. Hello, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, Frank?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's Daniel again from Riverside over here in SoCal, Southern California.
Okay.
Great show. Great guest once again, man. I just got to thank you. You are a blessing to the people and to the community out there. Not only as a person that brings on guests like the inspiring one you just had on, but as a father and a family man. And like I say, you have a big heart, and that's a lot of the inspiration that a lot of us need on a day-to-day basis. So thank you for your service.
Oh, well, I'm having a little bit of an easier time these days taking really genuinely nice compliments like that. And thank you, Daniel. It's very nice to hear that. And I'm glad that...
Well, you should. You work hard, brother. You work hard, and you got a family to support as well. And so do I. And so the Bible says our first ministry is our families. Mm. We got to make sure we're taking care of them if we decide to have children and a wife and stuff like that, especially as men. So to hear this guy go out and just save thousands upon thousands of kids and blaming it on the Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ, because he's right. The Bible says we can do all things. Philippians 4:13 says we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And Jesus exemplified servitude. He said that I have come to serve and not be served. And so if we can take that and run with that and understand that God is in control, you know, he puts one up, takes one down, no matter how evil it gets, we know who wins in the end. And I know that can be a little cliche. That doesn't mean you're supposed to stop preparing and just sit back and wait. No, you should be ready for Jesus to come back any day, but we should prepare like he's not coming back for 1,000 years. You know, that's the mindset we need to take. And in doing that, we serve people. That's what we do. We get out there into our community. I mean, you serve children when you were coaching them, you know? I mean, so you've done it all, Frank. And here's to you, not only that, gentleman, but to you, I continually will keep you in prayer. And I just thank you, man. I just wanted to give some gratitude words due.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I can always use prayer. So I really appreciate it. And your words are very genuinely heartfelt, and they're very warming. Thank you so much, Daniel, for the call.
No problem. And last thing is, we weren't promised today. The Bible says you were not promised tomorrow, which is today. So every morning, everyone out there should wake up thanking God that he woke you up that morning, and that and find out what your purpose is, and get out there and get her done. And yes, finish the race and finish it well, my friend. You take care.
Have a good one. Yes, and some days are easier than others. I think we all know that one too. 603, you're on the air. How are you?
What's going on, Frank? It's Tony in New Hampshire.
Tony, good to have you on. Live free or die state.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I just wanted to call in on the dilemma situation.
The Bonhoeffer.
Bonhoeffer, thank you. I wasn't familiar with the term, but honestly, it's something that's popped up in my life quite a few times, and it's something that I think is going to be reality if things really keep moving in this direction. You know, there's always going to be somebody needed to do the dirty work, and you know, you can be the most righteous person in the world, and I think you can still be capable of extreme violence in defense of your loved ones. And if you're not, I forget the person who quoted it, but there's a quote saying that, you know, you should never be a peaceful man. You should be a violent man seeking peace.
Yeah.
And I think that really plays into a lot of what's going on today. And especially when it comes down to kids, man, like I can forgive almost any crime. Nothing to do with kids, though. That's just unforgivable to me, you know.
But I'm with you. It's not that much of a dilemma for me. There's not that much of a dilemma. It's just there's something to being meek in a conversation where there are some, you know, minor, moderate political differences, and you just know that, hey, you know what? Out of politeness, it might be better just to relinquish a strong position here and let the night take its course, and more pleasing things to pop up along the way. But I don't, you know, when someone draws swords, and like you said, when innocent or vulnerable people have their lives put in danger, or you put your life, whether you're, you know, whatever it is, when lives are in danger and people are being hurt, traumatized, or there is that imminent threat, then there's not that much of a dilemma for me. Really not. So, yeah.
You know, it really all ties in with the whole toxic masculinity thing going on, and you know, trying to diminish men that will actually be able to help you when shit hits the fan. You know, and it's I think people are going to come to realize that sooner than later, the way things are going.
Absolutely. Thanks for the call, Tony.
Hey, thanks, buddy. Take care.
Okay, let's take another call, then we're going to go on a really quick break. 210, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, wow. You know, I tell you, that last caller was really great. The prayers go double in my house for you, Frank. This is Hector from San Antonio.
Hey, Hector. It's good to have you on, man.
Yeah, so the never stop or never give up message really is the synchronicities are strong with me there. Your show is a big part of inspiration in my life, and personal mission myself, where the never stop, never give up definitely is prevalent in my life right now, is having a full-time career for over 10 years in the oil field. And, while I'm working long hours in the oil field, trying to start our own business. And, your show was a big source of inspiration to start, freemarketsamerica.com and have a sweepstakes company where people have a chance of winning great stuff. And, also receive a great message, with our patriotic T-shirts and inspirational quotes.
And I've seen them all. They're very, very nice.
Yeah, and even though for our first sweepstakes here, the winner will be chosen in April, and there's definitely a time frame where we want to get as many entries as we can. And as a first-time entrepreneur, you always kind of question yourself, thinking, "Man, have we just sunk money in the wrong direction?" But all along there is the whole never stop message that keeps coming around our house and saying, even if it's the second sweepstakes or the third, we'll get our message out there, and people, fight against communism and socialism, and remember the free market is what made more people free across the world than any other system ever.
Oh, I got you there, man. So whatever it is, you got to apply it to your life. No doubt about it. And I'm glad that you got to call in, and I'm glad you were able to relate that to what you're doing over there. And thanks again, Hector, for everything.
Yeah, you guys are great, man. We love you, Frank.
All right. Well, hey, all the love to you over there in San Antonio as well. That's great. Now we're going to be back in just a second. I want to give you guys a little bit more time on these subjects, and then we're gonna wrap up. It's 8:31. I had a very, very nice time with Sam Childers tonight, and I said there's no reason to apologize to him for calling him Childers for the last 3 weeks, because he didn't know. Why am I going to bring it up? I can apologize to you guys, but I'm not going to. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Scientists were able to mimic Nessie Amun's voice by recreating his mouth and vocal cords with a 3D printer. It allowed them to produce a single sound.
What is up, guys? Mike Collins here from Wandering Wolf Productions at Easter Island, and you are watching Quite Frankly.
That rug really tied the room together, did it not?
Fucking A. This guy peed on it.
Donnie, please.
I think it's even a little more fundamental than the one that Stephen has just put forward. I asked them, what do you think is the reason that America is such a free country? What is it in our Constitution that makes us what we are? And I guarantee you that the response I will get, and you will get this from almost any American, including the woman that he was talking to at the supermarket, the answer would be freedom of speech, freedom of the press, no unreasonable searches and seizures, no quartering of troops in hope, those marvelous provisions of the Bill of Rights. But then I tell them, if you think that a Bill of Rights is what sets us apart, you're crazy. Every banana republic in the world has a Bill of Rights. Every president for life has a Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights of the former evil empire, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, was much better than ours. I mean it literally. It was much better. We guarantee freedom of speech and of the press. Big deal. They guaranteed freedom of the speech, of the press, of street demonstrations and protests, and anyone who is caught trying to suppress criticism of the government will be called to account. Whoa, that is wonderful stuff. Of course, just words on paper. What our framers would have called a parchment guarantee. And the reason is that the real constitution of the Soviet Union, you think of the word constitution, it doesn't mean a bill, it means structure. Say a person has a sound constitution, has a sound structure. The real constitution of the Soviet Union, which is What our framers debated that whole summer in Philadelphia in 1787, they didn't talk about the Bill of Rights. That was an afterthought, wasn't it? That Constitution of the Soviet Union did not prevent the centralization of power in one person or in one party. And when that happens, the game is over. The Bill of Rights is just what our framers would call a parchment guarantee.
All right, 8:34. A couple more minutes. We're going to get off a little bit early tonight, I think. Just a few things to take care of over here before I head home. But Safety Net, thank you so much for the contribution on quitefrankly.tv by way of pilled.net. Let's see here. Let us see. A couple more things I want to keep track of later. We got that? Good. All right. So we have that. The lines are open, and it's just you and I, and there's a lot of people listening all over the place, and I wish that you would just pick up the phone and join me for a few minutes so we can extend this show just a few minutes longer. So we have, obviously, all of this stuff that we've been talking about. There's extra credit for people who have a most dangerous personal mission of their own they want to talk about. And you can also get extra credit for calling in and just leaving a random white pill for everybody to swallow. That's right. Just a nice little tidbit of hope. Something, a silver lining that everybody can sink their teeth into. 424, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, it's Carlos in Hollywood. How are you?
Carlos, this is the guy I want to talk to. How the hell's everything been?
It's been, I sent you an email actually during the show. You'll see the update. I don't want to put it on there, but it's been interesting. Things are changing. Hollywood's in a bit of an upheaval lately, with so much going on between AI and
before you get into anywhere further with that, since you brought up AI first, I forget who I was talking to yesterday. I think I was talking to one of my producers yesterday, and we were discussing for a moment Hollywood and the AI issue. Now, I don't know. This is outside of all of the collective bargaining stuff and the potential strikes. How much of Hollywood is AI generated now? How much can you do insiders tell you how much they are generating?
Yeah, we would know. It's not fully implemented yet. Look, it's not perfect yet. So, but it's going in that direction. And I'll give you, and this is how I can back it up. Layoffs are going on left and right. Disney did a massive one last week, the week before. One of the major agencies is about to do another round of layoffs. I got laid off. That's what I sent you in the email. Part of what was taking me long to get back to you on that question you wanted me to handle on email. And so you'll see what I wrote. But, and I got laid off. And earlier this year, OpenAI and Sam and his whole team came over to Hollywood, and they did presentations to all the buyers, the top agencies, basically showing them why they don't need humans to create anymore, essentially. Those are my words, not theirs, but that's essentially what it is.
To create, and wait, let me just ask you right there. When you say you don't need humans to create anymore, are we talking at this point strictly the writing of screenplays, or are we talking about
the writing, the production, the whole shebang?
Everything. Okay.
And we're all talking about it. No one's writing about it in the press. You're not seeing a reporter write. Well, the Variety reporter did a generative AI. Actually, I'll send it to you on email so you can see what I'm talking about. But recently they did a whole expose on where it's going and how it will affect us as humans, and work displacement. And, obviously last year strikes screwed everything up in terms of production, but even this year, it's just the production and work and availability is really fucking low. Pardon my French. I know the kids watch. What was I going to say? No. And so companies looking ahead forward toward AI being more used are folding production companies, are, letting production deals expire. For instance, a great buddy of mine had a production deal over at E1, and E1 recently got folded into, acquired by Lionsgate. So they merged, and so that deal went away, but I just spoke to him last week. A lot of people like him and myself are trying to stay ahead of it by learning as much as we can about AI, and how we can implement it. But many are having the conversations about getting into other fields. I mean, it's that dire. Not
You know,
many people are talking about this publicly.
He-
But it's that dire.
when you're talking about all this stuff, the first thing I think about is the how is the marketplace going to react? And I think about food, for example, how everybody started learning about things like gluten, and they started learning about things like trans fat, and they started learning about things like seed oils or GMO ingredients, and now there's labels on everything. And then we talk about 3D printed stuff. And the AI articles that I had on the air, I think last year, that were talking about how AI was being designed to actually go out there and create art, physical art, paintings, sculptures with laser assistance and all that stuff. And we asked the question, is this art if it's not coming from, I mean, obviously there can be a concept that somebody uses it as a specific kind of a tool, but when it comes to our storytelling and it comes to movies, there's gotta be some kind of a revolt for people who are gonna want.
Yeah, there's going to be a revolt. I mean, I think eventually what will happen is not unlike how, the vinyl records are back and that's in vogue and people are collecting those kinds of things. I think there'll be that element to it. But also there is a conversation that's very vibrant about supposedly AI is not sentient yet. And so it lacks empathy. It lacks the emotion. And I was literally right before I called you was on a call with a producer. We're talking about doing a deal together. And we had the conversation about what AI lacks is that why I watch a movie or a show or whatever it is that moves me, that's a moving image, sometimes it's what's not said or written on the page that creates an emotion. And so far, at least as I'm aware, only humans can really create that, because only we really know what that feels like. You can write a certain experience that, others will connect to because they went through it also. That's not the case with AI yet. And the stuff that I'm seeing that is being created and being used, you could very clearly see that it lacks that ability to move you just by looking at an image. It doesn't do the same thing. Yeah, you could argue the art is some of the images it's creating or it's borrowing from, really.
Well, it also tells me this, and also tells me something else, Carlos. And thank you so much for the call. Did you get all your main points out?
I did. I was actually calling about Sam. Obviously I was watching, but there is a follow up to Sound of Freedom, not directly connected to it. But Tim Ballard and Marisol Nichols and my mentor, actually, who produced this documentary, they went in. Oh gosh, should I say this on there? They went into a country and recently rescued over 100 children. And I was actually going to be involved because I would have been one of the decoy actors to do it. Just the timing didn't work out; it was too quick. But there is a follow up to that particular movement. And let me remind everyone: Angel Studios, any studio. It's about the bottom line, the money, and it's made so much more money than has been reported. It's insane. They made a lot of money off of it, but it's a business. They're not a philanthropic company. That's all I say. Okay,
well, that's interesting to hear. So when you say a follow-up, you mean that there's going to be a second movie?
Yeah. The same team that was behind Sound of, well, not the same. Not the director, Alejandro Zinter, because it's a documentary this time. It will end up being a movie, is what I'm guessing. No, they went in and literally documented an actual rescue of over 100 kids in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
You heard it here first.
Well, thank you for Thank you for the insight.
But Tim Ballard is involved. It could end up at Angel, but that's not where it is. It's independent though. But Tim Ballard and all those people.
All right. Well, thank you for the inside scoop, Carlos. It's good to hear from you, man.
You're welcome. I'll talk to you soon.
See you later. Yeah. As far as well, that ties that one to the other thing, but what the hell's the point of going to a movie that are going to be more and more just written by computers? Because if AI is taking over, whatever AI takes over, and not that it's like consciously taking something over, but whatever is placed onto the AI shoulders to go and do the work that a human being did before, whenever that happens, we already know the kind of worldview, the programming that this thing has. We understand it. So that's one thing that'll tell you they're not really interested in getting away from the message, as they call it, the equality message, the diversity message, all that stuff. They're not looking to get away from any of that. horrible shit that is just resonating with less and less people. They just want to be able to be manufacturing this stuff at a greater pace with less human overhead. So it doesn't really bother me. It really doesn't bother me. There's always going to be somebody. It just means that there's going to be a higher market value for anything that is human made. You go into a grocery store and you're looking for everything. I know that stickers and guarantees are just, they're as good as the people who write them. You got to hope that it's all for real. But I mean, you're looking for things that are GMO free. I'm going to be looking for movies that are AI free. I'm going to be looking for people, you're going to be looking for some sort of a product there that reflects a human theme. That's it. And I don't care. I think it's a bad move, but it's Hollywood. So let them do it. Gives a shit. There's 100 years worth of incredible movies that anybody can go and pick up before the real dark times, when the machines started picking them up and doing them instead. You got all that, and then it's just going to put so much more value on independent filmmakers out there, and that'll just be the new Hollywood. A decentralized, dispersed movie industry. Just like we talked so much about new media last night. Who knows? Who knows when the next Casablanca is made? The next Gone with the Wind. Think about that. Think about that when there's such a higher value put on independent artists. Again, I every time that we go live on a Sunday afternoon to do our Sunday stream here, or any other kind of exclusive perk that I create for the show and the people who sponsor it, it is such a gratifying thing. I hate when I have to cancel a Sunday, like if it falls on a holiday or I'm just out of town or something like that. I love it so much because it's just I'm so grateful to be here in a time where a show like this is being powered by the audience that wants it. That's incredible. The people that enjoy it, they voluntarily make sure that the show continues on, is able to grow and do better and better things. That is an investment of people into something that otherwise they had absolutely no part in before. None whatsoever. I mean, in the past, if I were able to break into some kind of an AM, FM, terrestrial radio circuit and gain some kind of headway, and some of you in a small market heard about me, and then anybody in other markets would have to call up their program directors at their local radio station and say, please carry this show. And that's how you start adding radio stations and all. You can do that. You can patronize the sponsors that run their ads during the show on AM, FM. That's how you do it. But there's a much bigger machine behind there. And as long as people are tuning in, something going on. But it's very hard to break into that. Here I am over here, and people are tuning in from all over the place, live or on demand. And it's really all it's us. 20 years ago, you just open up a cable television package with Optimum or Cablevision, whatever the hell it is or was. Verizon, was that even a thing back then? I don't know. DirecTV, and you got a cable package, and sometimes you got a lot of shit you didn't even want, but you're paying for it anyway. This is a new age. I think that let the AI come in and ruin everything. What are they going to do? We already don't like the media. You think you're going to shock me? I'm going to be shocked and appalled when I find out that Sports Illustrated asked the computer to write a glowing article about some transgender model on the front page of their swimsuit edition. I don't give a shit. I'm not reading Sports Illustrated anyway. Who cares? Hire all the computers you want. We are on a time right now where we are paying with our attention and with our personal support for things that we like, and that'll go toward movies too, which is great. I think it's a good thing. Okay, let's see. Just want to make sure I'm up to date with all the super chats. Let's take a call right over here. 530, you're on the air. Who's this? Chris?
Yes. Hi, Frank. This
Hi.
is Chris from
Hello.
Northern California.
Welcome.
I loved your interview. Thank you. I loved your interview. It was wonderful. One thing that was said that really struck with me was the fact that, the Christians and how they're like picking up guns or whatever. But I look at it this way, as in the Bible, didn't God tell them to get rid of the Hittites, the Jebusites, all the giants, all of that, and how he wiped the whole world out with a flood? I mean, it's been going on for centuries. So God has wrath in him. Just saying. So if the guy's going to pick up a gun and save children, I'm like all for it.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing.
That was my point.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I guess there was maybe it's something that's a little bit more of a dilemma to other people. To me, it sounds pretty easy. Yeah, no, there is.
I agree. I'm like, if your God's telling you to do what you got to do, and that's the only means you got to do it in, do it. I mean, you got to fight fire with fire, don't you?
I guess
if he's going against drug lords and people that are cutting women's lips off and ears off, holy hell! I guess you're going to do what you got to do. You take the tools into the environment. You know what I mean? That's just the way I look at it. I just thought it was an absolutely wonderful interview. I just love your show. Just by the way.
Well, thank you, Chris. I think
every night, yeah. My granddaughters like dance to your music. Yeah, I'm like, Frankie's on. Let's go.
I like that. You said something there. You said about fighting fire with fire. I guess the only real thing there is what fire you are naturally drawn to. Like, for example, Sam Childers is talking about, he didn't go into too much detail, but of course he did mention the drugs he was on, and of course the drugs that he started dealing, and the biker circles he was rolling in. And in some of his other interviews, he talked about how he literally toward the end of his life on the streets became a shotgunner. Pretty much just a guy who's he's a lookout guy with the shotgun, and he's ready to lay down some cover fire until the job is completed, whatever the hell that job was. And then came his conversion and this big turnaround in his life, and during the course of that conversion comes this opportunity to go on a mission trip to Africa. And I have people in my life who've gone on mission trips to Africa and the Caribbean and all that stuff. They did their thing, they came back, they went to other places, other things called to them. But for Sam, there was a moment in the Sudan where he realized that he has a mission there that he has to, that's what came to him.
But maybe all of everything that he went through before he went to that mission was in preparation for what he had to do.
Yeah, but perhaps, but
I mean, had he not been in those hardcore things and had not gone through the experiences that he had gone through, he may not have been able to handle going that next level and that next step.
Well, you can turn, and thank you.
God works in infinite ways, and he always takes the downtrodden man and lifts him up. I mean, you hear it throughout the whole entire Bible. David was no saint. A lot of the people that he put in high positions had their own skeletons, as you would say, in their closet. So,
well, great points.
I mean,
great points.
Maybe that was just training for him to get him into a place where he could actually do what he had to do.
It's all great points and observations, Chris. Thank you for the call.
Thank you, and you have a wonderful night.
You too, and all the grandchildren over there too. Keep dancing, please. In Sam's case, perhaps, yeah. They're living a rough life and having that kind of an upbringing with your Marine father that teaches you to bully the bullies and to stand up for what's right. I'm sure that definitely prepares him to take on a mission. But when you hear the voice, you hear the voice. When you feel the tug, you feel the tug. I have to imagine that there is just as many people out there who got called toward doing something, toward a particular mission, one mission or another, who felt completely woefully unprepared. who felt like literal fish out of water. So there's not always a preparation. There's not always a preparation. Sometimes it's just get up, put your stuff on. We have to go track down a chemical weapon. And you're like, oh shit. Now I guess that there's military preparation. In Connor's case, you have basic training and then everything that goes along with your specialty out there. But still, sometimes there's no prerequisites. Sometimes you just find yourself doing something and you're totally lost. But you figure it out along the way. All right. That's all we have for tonight. I really appreciate all the input and all the people who hung out with me tonight. I really thought that we had something special. I'm glad that you thought so too. So, or I hope that you thought so too. I'll check out the comments and see what people put together. Those are always fun. Safety Net 820, thank you. Boys Block, everybody else. I'm going to be releasing the scratching over there on quitefrankly.tv. And other than that, you're totally lost. No, that sounds good. But you figure it out along the way. That sounds good. Good for you, Frank. Audio sounds perfect. So send me emails about anything that we talked about tonight, the Bonhoeffer dilemma, your own personal missions you found yourself in the middle of that you didn't, I don't know, were you prepared? Were you unprepared? But tomorrow's Thursday night. We should have a good time with Cheryl Davis, and we are going to talk about homeschooling for a little bit in the first half, and then some other fun stuff in the second. There's a lot of things going on in the world. I'd love to just get to know with what the hell you're thinking and what you're paying attention to. So good night. Have a great Wednesday evening, and away we go. No. No, Frank.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience, and now our super chatters, starting with Jay Brits and Big Tane and all of our wonderful friends over on Rumble as well. We have Ladybug, Esther G, Jay Semo, and Spud Hill. I hope to have more of you guys watching tomorrow and hanging out with us. And yeah, that's it. It's the last show of the short week tomorrow. I thank you all so much. Have a good night.